Hey, welcome to another Doodly tutorial. The topic: scene transitions and exit animations, the differences between them and their importance to your video. We're going to try something new with this tutorial, and I would like your honest opinion in the comments below, please. We're going to include both a normal tutorial in the style that I like to create them, and one in over the shoulder so you can see what I'm doing when I'm actually creating some of these. Please tell me which you prefer, or if you like both. Thanks. Let's move forward, shall we? This tutorial was created with version 2.4.13. The tips and tricks you will learn in this tutorial can be used with any Doodly version. The required skills for successfully making it through this tutorial are being familiar with the Doodly user interface. If you have not watched either the basic Doodly tutorials or the Design Hub's Doodly walkthrough, please stop this tutorial and watch one of those first. You will find a link to the Design Hub's tutorial walkthrough in the description of this video. This free video tutorial took over 100 hours to create. YouTube judges a channel by subscribers, likes, shares, and video hours watched. We ask for all our hard work. Please use those buttons and allow this video to run until the end. Thank you. Scene transitions are important to keep a viewer's attention when making a Doodly video. Improper scene transitions may not drive a viewer away, but a proper scene transition will definitely help keep their attention. Proper scene transition settings are one of the most missed items I see when reviewing people's Doodly videos and offering advice. In this video, we will talk about proper scene transition or exit animation, scene settings, exit animation options, video setting scene transition options, other exit animation options or transition effects, transition effect comparison, and additional end of scene time. What is a proper scene transition or exit animation? There is no wrong scene transition, but there are more appropriate choices for transitions that will better serve to keep your viewers' attention. One example would be when an asset is faced towards a specific direction. A proper scene transition would be to go in the same direction as the asset when choosing the exit animation. This type of swipe transition provides the appearance that the asset or assets are moving in that direction. This type of flow provides a timeless movement addition to the video and that wow factor to the viewer. This easily forgotten movement is an important part in keeping your viewer's attention in a Doodly video. Another good example would be using a chalkboard background and erasing the board before transitioning to the next scene. In this case, the erase mode exit animation would be perfect to clear off the chalkboard before the next scene appears. This serves as a refresh, like in a play when the curtain closes and reopens with a new scene. An example of a poor choice in a transition effect would be if the same asset from the finished scene is desired to stay on the screen for the next scene, but then we set the exit animation type to erase. Now the asset will be erased and then immediately appear back on the chalkboard in an undesired manner. There are 6 scene exit animations available within this version of Doodly. Most of these are self-explanatory, but let's go through them. None. This exit animation may not seem like an obvious choice, but it is very important. This tells Doodly to not perform any exit animation when the video transitions from the finished scene to the start of the next scene. This is a perfect choice when wanting to keep an asset or assets on the canvas for the next scene, but wanting to erase or fade away other items on the canvas. This choice allows for multiple different pseudo effects that are not natively supported by the Doodly software. Effects such as having two different style hands on the same scene appearance can be created by using the None transition. All of the swipe options perform the same basic functionality. They smoothly exit all your assets currently on the canvas off the screen, depending which direction is chosen, with the choices being swipe left, right, up, or down. If you have seen any of my videos, you will hear and see that there is a lot in the Doodly user interface that I am not happy with, but this feature is not one of them. The swiping action is a brilliant feature, an extremely powerful one in the Doodly software. This one action by itself is what allows you to receive that "Wow, did you see that?" reaction from your viewers. Doodly developers have done something quite well with this feature. Erase mode. There's a little bit of confusion happening with erase mode that I haven't been able to repeat yet. While reviewing a user's doodle, they had a really nice exit animation I liked, but had no idea how to repeat. Their doodle separated into 3 different sections on their canvas and provides a really nice exit animation. When questioned about how they made this happen, I was fully expecting to hear that they put the video into Adobe Premiere or PowerPoint, but that is not what they said. The user stated they accidentally selected erase mode in the exit animation, and this is how the exit animation turned out. This doesn't make sense to me because when I select erase mode, I do not receive this type of animation. I can make this animation in Adobe Premiere or in PowerPoint, but not in the Doodly software. I contacted Doodly support and they assured me that their software does not have this functionality. Perhaps this was yet another bug in the Doodly software that allowed the users to see an exit animation that the developers are working on instead of erasing the animation. The rest of us may see this split animation as a welcomed addition in future versions, but not for right now. As far as this video will show you, erase mode erases the assets off the screen all at once, just like erasing a real-life whiteboard or chalkboard. The video settings exit animation options, called scene transitions, in this window provide the default settings for the exit animation for the entire video. The settings selected in the video settings can be overridden by the scene settings. There are 3 differences between the video settings and the scene settings exit animation options. In the video settings, there is no erase mode. Swiped mix tells Doodly to go ahead and randomly choose a swipe mode for each scene if it is not overridden by the scene settings. And camera panning, let's talk about camera panning for a minute. At first, when this is used, the effect doesn't seem to be a very good feature at all because it shows you a portion of your last scene. But there are some really creative effects that can be implemented with the camera panning as a scene transition. We saw a video with a gentleman that had his writing on post-it notes and paper. It was fantastic watching the camera pan from area to area, and this was accomplished using the camera panning exit animation in Doodly. Be aware that when camera panning is selected in the video settings, the only option when attempting to override the exit animation by using the scene settings becomes none and camera panning. We are not limited to the transition effects that come with Doodly. We can set the exit animation to none and create our own exit animation effects. With a little bit of ingenuity, we can create pseudo effects to allow the appearance of our own exit animations or scene transitions. The easiest one to create is a fading effect. Fading effects require the use of other software outside of Doodly, we consider the usage of software outside of Doodly outside the scope of a beginner tutorial, so we will not go into how to create the fading effect in this video tutorial, although we will demonstrate it for you. If you wish to see how to create a smooth fading effect, check out our intermediate tutorial on smooth fading. There are other methods that you can use to create your own transition effects as you get more experienced with video design. Look at the exact same video with different exit animations and how those can affect a Doodly video. Decide which ones you like the best and choose which one would best suit each of the scenes in your video production. Let's compare erase and swiped left, right, up, and down together in various exact videos. We will demonstrate two different videos that each play 2 times to show you the exit animation effect. Look at the exit animations and choose the one that would help keep your attention the best. Let us know in the comments below which one you liked the best. Let's discuss the camera panning scene transition a little bit more. This scene transition will automatically pan your camera to different areas on this canvas, leaving a bit of your previous scene viewable. This type of scene transition can seem useless at first, but if used correctly, it offers the potential for an amazing effect in Doodly that is sure to keep your viewers' attention and get you those "Wow, that was a fantastic video" comments from your viewers. This type of scene transition can be a little tricky to understand at first, but play with it for a few moments and you can get the hang of it. Admittingly, I didn't like it when I first saw it and I couldn't see the potential until I saw other people's doodles who did harness its potential. What an amazing feature to have in a software, and I'm very happy it's there. Don't be hard on yourself if you wouldn't have thought about it on your own, because I didn't and wouldn't have without watching those other doodles. You can see here the power of that camera panning scene transition. Hey, would you like an easy way to assist other beginner doodlers? Compare the scene transitions, then share your comment on which one you like and why. Also share why the other scene transitions don't work for that video. I'll show you 2 different video creations, each with 2 different scenes, and loop through them twice. Feel free to comment on one or all of them if you prefer. The new doodlers that come along every day, view these tutorials and read the comments will thank you for your thoughts. Look at the 5 identical scenes and comment on which one you like the best for the video that is shown, and don't forget to comment why you believe the others won't work for that particular scene. The last and probably most important chapter in this video tutorial is about adding additional time at the end of a scene. This is an extremely important feature in Doodly that most beginners skip over because they either don't understand it or haven't watched the Design Hub Doodly software walkthrough or even the basic Doodly tutorials. The default end of scene time in the Doodly software is 1/2 second. This is not enough time for your viewers to absorb the information just displayed to them in that scene. The amount of time necessary at the end of a scene is highly dependent on the target audience and the situation. Know your target audience and provide them enough time at the end of the scene to absorb the information. This is called audience analysis in marketing. The amount of time added at the end of a scene directly relates to what a voiceover artist should be informed about to compensate before they begin their voiceover, or if you're programming a text-to-speech or TTS to speak within the video, then this pause time should be considered. Both of these options require the knowledge of the pausing in between the scene transitions to allow for additional drawing, animation time, viewer absorption, other special effects, and more. Too little time chosen can make your video appear rushed or make it so your message in the scene is not properly received or remembered by the viewer. And too long of a pause can lose the interest of the viewer and cause them to leave the video completely. Watch the 3 identical videos and decide which one is better suited for your audience. Each video has 3 scenes. Each scene is 10 seconds long, and the only difference is the end of scene timing. Ready? Which scene best fit your needs? Leave a comment below and let us know. The first video was set to the default Doodly additional time requirement of 1/2 second. The second video was set to 1.5 seconds end of scene time, and the third video was set to a whopping 5 seconds of time. Here's some homework for you. Create 3 videos, each with different end of scene times. Find a member of your target audience and ask them which one they like the best and why. Come back here and let us know what they said. Next up, the over-the-shoulder design tutorial. The partial erasing effect requires a little bit of preparation. We need to decide which assets we want to keep on the canvas and which ones we want to erase. Once we've decided which ones we want to keep on the canvas, then we can begin our effect. We'll start out with a pre-made screen that I've already done, a lady in a swimming pool with a floaty. Let's go ahead and click the scene settings, and we're going to change the exit animation to none. This is just so that when we copy the scene to a new project, it doesn't interfere with what we're trying to do. We'll change that to erase later. Let's right click on the scene and copy. Now, don't forget to save the project you're working in. Now, let's go ahead and go back to the main menu and let's create a new project. It's extremely important that you create the project in the same resolution and same background as your current project. Once we've got that set, we right click on the scene and let's paste. That'll paste the scene that you just copied from your previous project into your new project. Now, let's go ahead and erase or delete the assets that we want to get rid of. So I'm going to delete both the woman and the floaty in this video because I want the erase method to be able to look like it's erasing those items while keeping the other background. Once I've done that, let's click Save and let's export the project. Oh, one main thing, we want to add 10 seconds onto the end of the project so that when we're playing back the video that we're going to take a screenshot of, it has enough time to get rid of the play controls. When you export, it doesn't matter what FPS you're exporting at. You can do 30, you can do 25, 24. It's irrelevant, just don't do over 30. Here, we're going to speed this up a bit to allow, to not bore you. We'll come back when it's done. Here we can see the export has finished, so I'm going to go ahead and open up and play the video. Now, we can see here that Doodly's actually drawing. I forgot to set it to 0 duration and 0 delay on the assets. Now that we have the video playing, what we want to do is we want to let the screen controls go away, and we want to capture a full screenshot of this just like it is. So I'm actually going to do a screenshot on my computer of what's called a print screen. I'm using Windows 10. And then now I can save that. I can open up Photoshop, I can open up my photo editor, I can open up Microsoft Paint, and then I can paste that image. So let's open up Microsoft Paint. I went to the Windows Run dialog and I just typed in MS Paint. I did a paste in there, which is a Control V on the keyboard, and now I'm going to save this as a PNG file. Once I do that, as long as I know where I saved the file on my computer, I can find it when I'm in Doodly and I can import it into Doodly to be able to set up for this effect. Let's go ahead and get out of our current project. That was the new one that we created. And let's go back to our original project. We're going to create a new scene. We can do this by clicking the plus sign or right-clicking and adding scene if there's already another scene in it. You can also add it by the plus sign and drag it over. I'm going to choose custom, and then I want to do custom image, and I'm going to browse to that image I just saved. Once you have the image opened up, you can grab the corners of the sightline box to be able to maximize it to that image and click done. This will show you the entire image. Now click apply. Now this will apply the changes to every single scene because I used the video settings. And we would be able to scroll or scrub back and forth with the play handle to be able to see the effect. We want to change scene 1 to erase, so it looks like it is going to erase the effect. I think you're getting where we're going with this. So let's change the duration that I forgot to do before over to 0. Now we can scrub back and forth, and we want to see this with the show preview, not the preview on the right hand side, so we can actually see what's going on. And you can see here that it does exactly what we want. It gives the effect of partially erasing the screen. Now, what happens if we don't want to have every single scene with that image? Well, we don't have to. You just don't use the video settings. Let's change the video back to whiteboard. Now we can go into the scene settings. Let's click on scene 2, and we can go into the scene settings and we can overwrite what's there by doing the exact same thing. Custom, browse, and then just search for your image. Now you will have to do this on each scene that's involved. It's the same exact steps as video settings, except when Doodly crashes there. So when you browse, and let's do this again since we had a little crash, grab the handles on the side of the image, of the side of the site, and pull them all the way to the edge. Alright, left click, hold, and pull them. You'll have to do this on every scene. Otherwise you'll erase to a screen and then the image will just show up. See what's happening there? It erases to a whiteboard and then the image shows up. We don't want that effect. So we would have to do this on both scenes that are involved. If you have 10 or 15 scenes inside your video production and you don't want the background in every single one of those scenes, then this is a good method to use to get that partial erase effect. Now you can see that it does the same exact effect, except that we're not confined to having that background to every single scene within our video production. I'd like a little bit more time in the first scene, so we're just going to add some time at the end of the scene just to make the scene a little bit longer and so it doesn't feel so rushed. Now we can scrub back and forth with the playhead, or we can just play the video from wherever we want to see how this will pan out. If we want this to make it look more realistic, we can add time and duration onto each asset so that it's drawing the assets and then it will erase the portions of the assets that are there. Up until this point, I have been demonstrating assets that are already on the screen. I'd like to demonstrate what happens when you attempt to add time or duration onto the assets and have them drawn into the screen when you already have this background image. So let's add some time onto these and make it more realistic as to the hand drawing everything. Let's take a look at what happens. We can see there that the screen was erased and then it started drawing. That's not the effect we're going after. So we're going to set the background to a 0 duration to help prevent that from happening. Now let's take a look. Aside from the fact that erase mode is currently on and it should be off, this looks pretty decent. And it provides the effect that we're going for, where we're drawing on top of the background and then we are erasing it or partial erasing it from the canvas. Now you know how to make a partial erasing effect. Let's move on to the next video. Let's take a look at the intermediate level custom exit animation. If you're looking for quick and easy at a beginner level, this demonstration's not for you. I've already created a scene here with a couple eating outside and set all the delay and duration to 00 for all the assets. This is important later when we export the movie. We don't want Doodly to draw all the assets onto the canvas. We are going to set our exit animation to none in the scene settings. We are creating our own exit animation, so we need to tell Doodly to not perform any type of exit animation from this scene to the next scene. After you've done that, click Apply. We're going to copy just this scene by right-clicking on the scene and choosing the Copy option. Now let us save our changes and create a new project. Ensure the new project has the same background and the same resolution as your original project. The name doesn't matter. Since this movie is only one scene, if I wanted to export the movie from that project, I could have, but most of the time this effect will be desired with a project with more than one scene in it already. So I'm showing you how to copy and paste it to a new project for that use case. Once we have our new project, right-click on the scene and choose Paste. This will paste the same scene from your original video to your new video. Add 10 seconds onto the end of scene time. This is important to allow the video controls in your player to disappear to be able to capture the print screen or screenshot. Save and export the video. We're going to speed this process up a bit. We'll come back when it's done. Now that the video is exported, let's find the video and let's play it. We want to let the video controls disappear and then take our print screen or the screenshot. When you take the print screen, you will not see anything happen on your computer, and you do not need to save this print screen anywhere, as we can paste it directly into PowerPoint. It is important to note that the screen resolution on your computer must also be the same resolution as your video for this trick to work properly. If you have a 4K screen, you may have to change the resolution to 1920 by 1080 to use this trick, or get creative using other methods outside the scope of this training video. Let's open PowerPoint and create a new blank presentation and paste the print screen directly into the PowerPoint slide. We can do this by using the keyboard combination Control-V or Command-V on the Mac. There, we have our image taken that we want to work with and can now decide on the exit animation in PowerPoint. Click the Animations tab and choose your exit animation.
The trick I am teaching can be used for introducing a scene with an animation into Doodly as well. I like the split exit animation, so we're going to use that for this video production. With a little change to the effect options, so the split goes out instead of in, we're ready to save this as a GIF animation. Click on File, then Export. Now click Create an Animated GIF. There are some options to choose. I want the high quality, so I'm going to choose extra large at 1080p at 24 frames per second. I'm also going to set the seconds spent on each slide, which I believe is supposed to be the seconds spent on each slide, to 0. It is important to remember where I save the GIF animation so I can import it back into Doodly later. I also want to save the PowerPoint slide in case I want to come back to it later and work with it or change the animation effect. Let's get back into Doodly and open up our original project. Once we have our project opened, let's click on the next scene or create another scene. I've already created a scene here we can work with. Let's click on that scene to select scene 2 or create your scene, and let's import that GIF animation into our props section. Make sure the naming convention on your imported images relate to your project. There are two methods of resizing images within Doodly, and both have their drawbacks and are not very accurate. The first is to use the image settings height and width options, which you would think would automatically size the image to the canvas, but it doesn't work. It will get you close, but it's not accurate. Look at the orange lines indicating after I resize this image to 1920 by 1080 that it is not covering the canvas. Even if you move the image around, it just doesn't work. So this leaves manual alignment of the image. This method takes a while, but is more accurate than trying to do the height and width. We can see here that Doodly is starting to draw the image. That is not a desired effect, and this is happening because I failed to set my duration to 0 seconds on the asset in the layers section. One particular frustration that you will run into when using this method is misalignment. Doodly gives the appearance that your image is lined up properly on the canvas, but it is not. If you look closely by zooming in to the canvas, you can see that the left side of this image is not quite on the canvas. Since Doodly uses a constrained proportion method for image resizing, this makes it very difficult to align your images properly using this method. We can use the playhead to scrub back and forth while we have the show preview window open to allow us to see in real time at 30 frames per second whether or not our images are lined up between the scenes. We do not use the preview button on the right hand side because that is only at 10 frames per second and makes the video appear laggy, which makes that button useless. We can see I am scrubbing back and forth on the playhead and the image is moving in an undesired direction, which equates to misalignment in the image from canvas to canvas. Once the image is aligned, when we look closer, we can see that there is a portion of the scene left at the end of the animation on the right hand side. It took a bit to line up this image, but now we have our own custom exit animation, and from here the possibilities are endless. Let's tackle the advanced keyframing demonstration. Blurring out the screen. This demonstration requires knowledge of software other than Doodly. If you're looking for an easy to follow step-by-step demonstration, this is not for you. For this advanced demonstration, I will presume you know how to use Adobe Photoshop or a different photo editing program that has the capability to blur images, and that you are very familiar with the controls and features in Doodly. Let's begin. We're going to set our exit animation to none, then copy and paste our scene to another project. I have all the delays and durations set to 0. You don't need to do that in your original project, but it should be done in the new project for which you paste the scene. When creating the new scene, ensure the resolution and the background are the same as your original scene. The name doesn't matter. You can delete this project after exporting it. Paste the scene that was just copied and add 10 seconds to the end of scene time. Once again, ensure that all the assets on the canvas have a 0 delay and 0 duration. Now save and export. Ensure the resolution is the same as your project. The FPS doesn't matter during the export. Locate your video and play it. Capture the print screen. Remember to keep your computer's resolution the same as your video size so you don't have to resize or end up with distortion. Open your photo editor and paste the image from your clipboard into your photo editor. I will be using Adobe Photoshop 2020. Doodly doesn't handle naming conventions involving numbers well, so remember to save the different steps with a 0 in front of the number until you get to 10. This will allow Doodly to show the different imported images in the correct order. Let's speed up this part a bit. The number of steps you create highly depends on the realism of the effect you want to keyframe. For this effect, I created 20 different steps, starting out with a full unaffected image at 0 blur, then created multiple blurred images at 2, then 4, 6, 8, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100, 200, 400, 600, 800, and finally 1000 blur. In addition, I created a white blank page to make it appear as if the white background behind the image was coming forward. The background can be whatever behind the blurred image, so you can create multiple effects depending on what image behind the blurred image you choose. There doesn't need to be 20 different images created for a keyframe effect. The dog looking over the canvas was created using this keyframing technique in the delay section and 15 different images to make the effect. The monitor appearance effect in the camera panning chapter, that was also created using this keyframing technique, and as well as the scene transition for exit animation and scene transition options chapter, they both used it. Keyframing makes a lot of different type of effects possible. Since Doodly handles finite looped GIF animations incorrectly, starting from frame 1 and ending on frame 1 instead of ending on the last frame, and ignoring the settings we set when we created the GIF animation, we have 3 options as designers. 1, we can play with our framing timing within Doodly. This only works if the GIF animation is at the end of our scene time. 2, we can add an enormous amount of frames to our GIF animation to allow for the rest of the scene to process, but we don't always know how long that scene will be when we're creating the GIF animation, so that requires a lot more editing. Or 3, we can keyframe the effect and control the outcome of our animation. Now that our photo editing is complete, let's look at the Doodly settings. We are going to use the same export video for the demonstration, so let's get rid of the 10 seconds and make it a more reasonable 2 seconds for the additional end of scene time. Let's speed up this process as well. The main things to remember are the naming convention and ensuring erase mode is set to off. As long as the images were named properly, when they are imported into Doodly, just click off somewhere and then search for them again. They will now be in the order of the transition effect. As you've heard me mention earlier, there are 2 methods to keyframing in Doodly. Keyframing happens in the layers section and not in the timeline. Each layer should be set to 1/10 of a second, or 0.1s. Create a new scene and drag the full unaffected image to the new scene. Resize that image to match the previous scene. Ensure the background is set to white or whatever background that was decided upon when you decide to create this effect. After resizing the image to cover the canvas, set reveal mode to fade on the image. Copy and paste the same image to ensure that it is exactly on top of the other image. As you are aware, resizing images in Doodly is a huge hassle because of the constrained resizing method. So don't try to resize and line up each individual image because that's a losing battle. Drag the next sequenced image on top of the image that was just pasted and choose replace. When the image is replaced, reveal mode is automatically defaulted back to draw. So go back into the image settings and set reveal mode to fade. Repeat this process until all your sequenced images are on the canvas on top of one another. A small tip that you may already be aware of is just to paste and replace after the first image is copied. You no longer need to copy the original image because it's already copied to your clipboard. You can still copy and paste if it helps you keep track of what image sequence you're currently on if you have to walk away, but other than that, you can save yourself a step. Once the pasting and replacing is completed, set all delays to 1/10 of a second or 0.1 seconds, and set the durations to 0 seconds. Originally, I was going to keyframe the duration in which reveal mode would need to be set to fade, since we're going for a blur effect. However, since I am replacing the entire canvas with a single image, I decided to keyframe the delay option instead. This negates the step of setting reveal mode to fade. We could use the fade transition effect from one image to another even at 0.1 seconds or 1/10 of a second, however, we don't need it. In this case, I will use the delay just like the other effects, like the dog looking over the canvas, because we don't want a fade effect to happen with that image. We simply wanted the next image to appear on top of the other image, giving the appearance of movement. There, now you know how to properly keyframe in Doodly. Stick around for the next section if you're interested in seeing the images for what it took to make this free video tutorial possible. It takes a lot of time when making a video like this. Keep an eye on the scene transition from image to image, as each one of them are different. As an added bonus for sticking around to watch the last 3 minutes of this video, I've included 50 different scene transition ideas for you to use within your video. These transitions were created using Adobe Premiere, but most of these can be created using a photo editing program, the opacity setting within Doodly, and some know-how on how to create the effect. I've included them here just to give you an idea on what you can do within your doodle when you finally get bored of the Doodly provided exit animations and feel like taking Doodly to the next level. It took a lot of knowledge and a lot of different software to make this video tutorial reality. Everything from writing the scripts to creating the idea to setting up the chapters and knowing what you're going to talk about and what you want to display to the viewers. I used Adobe Premiere. That's an amazing program. Photoshop knowledge is really helpful when editing images. Adobe Audition helps out tremendously when wanting to take the background noise or heavy breaths out of your voiceover. And then of course there's Doodly. Windows Snip and Sketch tool, advanced computer usage skills, attention to detail, except when pronouncing pseudo. My wife slapped me on the wrist for that one. I would have needed to record the entire voiceover again to correct that because Doodly exports the voiceover and the audio at the same time. So cutting that part out in another video editing program also cuts out the audio. It's a free video tutorial and I have well over 300 hours into this video. We can live with Suedo. Enjoy the rest of the show. Hey, we'd love to hear what you think about our videos. Leave a comment below, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell for notifications for our next set of tutorials.